This is a classic zombie film that premiered in 2013. Its gruesome and terrifying scenes led to an immediate ban and widespread censorship upon release, leaving few people who have actually seen it. However, those who have watched it were left deeply shaken without exception. This film is 13 Erie, released in 2013. The story begins with a hovercraft gliding across a lake, carrying a group of forensic science students close to graduation. Their task is to spend 2.5 days on a desolate island, conducting a final field exam under the supervision of their instructor. This exam is crucial, as their internship opportunities hinge on their performance here. The students soon arrive at the island and proceed on foot before boarding a bus that will take them to the camp. Ahead of them, their professor, Tompkins, has already arrived and prepared everything. There is also a caretaker on the island. With his help, the teacher placed 3 bodies with different methods of death in 3 different locations for the students to perform autopsies. The wilderness setting is meant to mimic a real crime scene, testing the students' adaptability and evaluating their field skills. Once everything was ready, the caretaker left, and the students boarded the bus headed for camp. The driver, Larry, is a logistics assistant specially hired by the professor. Besides driving, he'll also be preparing meals for everyone. As they chat on the drive, Larry casually mentions that years ago, the military conducted human experiments on the island, but due to certain incidents, they abandoned the site, leaving only a lone caretaker behind. Since then, strange occurrences have been reported, earning the island the nickname Erie Island. The rundown buildings and old signs along the road hint at past military activity, but the students brush off the stories as rumors and don't take them seriously. What they don't know is that this final exam will soon turn into their worst nightmare. Arriving at camp, Tompkins begins organizing the next phase. The 6 students are divided into 3 groups, A, B, and C, with 2 students per team, each heading to their assigned site to complete the test. Given Erie Island's remote location, there's no cell signal, so they'll have to rely on walkie-talkies for communication. It was strictly forbidden for any contact or communication between the groups. Any violation would be considered cheating and result in disqualification from the test. Tompkins remained at the camp, observing their performance via surveillance. Once everything was arranged, Tompkins dismissed the students, who returned to their dorms to prepare for the test. Meanwhile, as Larry was setting up the walkie-talkies, he accidentally knocked over a metal bucket, spilling a black liquid all over the ground and onto 2 of the devices. A burst of white smoke rose instantly. Realizing the liquid was corrosive, Larry quickly extinguished his cigarette, kicked the contaminated walkie-talkies aside, but fortunately, they were still functional. By this time, the students were ready and heading to their designated task locations. Kate and Megan of Group A needed to examine a body by the riverside. Josh and Patrick of Group B were assigned to investigate a corpse found atop a school bus. Daniel and Rob of Group C were tasked with examining a body in the trunk of a car. Each group jumped right into work, applying all they had learned to analyze the scene and estimate each body's time and cause of death based on the clues and state of decomposition. As soon as he noticed anything that the students had deduced correctly or incorrectly, Tompkins would immediately add or subtract points before monitoring. At the same time, Larry kept busy in the camp, preparing lunch for everyone, but while he was working, he glanced back and realized 2 of the 3 chickens in the oven were missing. Alarmed, he quickly reported it to Tompkins. Larry had long heard rumors that the military had once conducted human experiments on death row inmates on this very island, but after they left, it became an abandoned place, supposedly uninhabited except for them. Now, with 2 roasted chickens mysteriously missing, and the island's eerie rumors lingering in his mind, Larry felt increasingly unsettled. Tompkins, however, was entirely focused on the students' test and dismissed Larry's concerns. He suggested that maybe some wild animal had taken the chickens, urging Larry to get back to preparing the food and delivering it to the students. While stopping by the restroom along the way, he happened to see a woman's corpse in a rundown shack. Terrified, he ran to the riverside and, while handing lunch to Megan, told her about the body he'd seen. Watching this from the surveillance feed, Tompkins quickly urged Larry to leave the students alone and not disrupt the test. Kate followed Larry away from the scene to check out the abandoned house. After examining it, she discovered that the corpse there was not part of their setup. However, just as she was about to use her walkie-talkie to confirm with Tompkins, she realized that the signal had mysteriously disappeared. Even more terrifying, Larry suddenly noticed that the corpse on the ground moved slightly. He quickly told Kate that the corpse had come back to life, but Kate thought Larry was joking, so she left the scene without hesitation. Little did they know, as soon as they walked away, the corpse inside the house stood up. After leaving, Larry continued delivering lunch to the remaining 2 groups, reminding Group C not to get too caught up in their work and to always stay vigilant and watch their backs. After delivering his warning, Larry left, leaving behind a confused Daniel and Rob. As Larry was heading to deliver lunch to the last group, Group B, he saw a figure darting through the woods. This sight frightened him so much that he abandoned the lunch, dropped his backpack, and ran back to the camp, only to trip and fall, knocking himself unconscious. Meanwhile, Daniel and Rob noticed that their walkie-talkie's battery was almost dead, so they decided to pause their work and head back to the camp to replace it. While walking through a wooded area, Rob, who was behind, tripped and fell. As he got up, he noticed a figure in prison garb moving quickly, but Daniel saw nothing and didn't believe Rob's account. At the same time, Kate returned to the dormitory and informed Megan about the corpse she had found. Due to the lack of signal, they couldn't confirm with Tompkins. Kate speculated that it might be a hidden task Tompkins set up to test them. Megan agreed with Kate's idea but was busy examining the body by the river, so they decided to split up. She handed her camera to Kate, asking her to take a few photos and then return so they could check it together. When Kate returned to the abandoned house with the camera, she discovered that the corpse was gone. Realizing that Larry hadn't been joking, panicking, Kate turned to head back but encountered the reanimated female zombie in the woods. Kate immediately ran, but in her panic, she ended up in a dead end surrounded by thorns, which trapped her arms. As the zombie advanced, Kate, unable to move, was filled with despair. The zombie bit off her fingers and then tore open her throat, her anguished screams echoing through the woods. Megan, still in the dormitory, seemed to hear something. Realizing Kate hadn't returned, she went out to search for her. When she found Kate, the other party had been eaten by the zombies and was unrecognizable. Megan was shocked to see her covered in wounds. Without asking what had happened, she quickly took her back to the dormitory and helped her dress the wounds. However, due to the severe neck injury and limited medical supplies, Kate soon died from blood loss. Seeing her best friend die in front of her, Megan was terrified and heartbroken. When she came to her senses, she realized there might be danger in the woods, so she locked all the doors and windows. What she didn't realize was that the real danger was behind her, Kate. Before long, Kate reanimated. Seeing the dead Kate come back to life with a twisted expression, Megan grabbed a small knife and mustered the courage to attack. After a struggle, Megan realized her attacks were ineffective, so she pushed over a nearby shelf, trapping the zombie underneath it and temporarily escaping the threat. Meanwhile, at Group B's location, Josh was collecting samples from a body under the school bus when a pair of human feet walked by. Thinking it was a classmate, he called out but got no response. When he crawled out from under the bus, he saw no one. Sensing something was wrong, Josh immediately stopped the autopsy and prepared to return to the camp. Seeing Josh so tense, Patrick decided not to stay alone and followed him. At the camp, Tompkins was still desperately trying to contact the students. Unexpectedly, Larry returned to the camp in a panic. He urgently told Tompkins that they must evacuate Weird Island immediately, as he had seen reanimated corpses in the woods, possibly linked to military human experiments. However, Tompkins dismissed it as a conspiracy theory, accusing Larry of not doing his job properly, which resulted in malfunctioning walkie-talkies and broken monitoring equipment. Tompkins then decided to go outside to check if there was an issue with the cables. Suddenly, the lights inside the room flickered. Alarmed, the two went out to investigate. In the next moment, a zombie appeared on the surveillance footage, hollowing out the innards of a corpse from a car's trunk. Tompkins and Larry soon discovered the source of the problem. It was the corrosive liquid from a barrel Larry had accidentally knocked over, which had damaged the cables on the ground. At this moment, Daniel and Rob returned to the camp. Seeing them repairing the damaged cables but choosing not to stay long, they grabbed 2 spare walkie-talkies and headed back to their task site. After much effort, the cable was finally fixed, but the flickering lights had attracted a zombie. Larry had just turned on the monitor and saw the zombie, and Josh and Patrick arrived just in time. Larry quickly relayed everything he had seen to them, and Josh, already suspicious, believed him without hesitation. Back inside, Tompkins, not having seen the zombie himself, remained skeptical of their claims. Meanwhile, Daniel and Rob returned to their task site and discovered the corpse that had been hollowed out. Daniel thought it was sabotage by Tompkins to test their crisis management skills, but Rob disagreed, recalling the prisoner-like figure he had seen earlier and feeling that the place was too dangerous to stay. Seeing Daniel unmoved, Rob decided to leave alone, only to encounter a zombie halfway down the path. As the zombie roared and lunged, Rob panicked and ran, inadvertently stumbling into a dead-end alley, desperately trying to open an iron gate. He turned to see another zombie approaching from the opposite side, both mutated prisoners. Before long, the zombie from behind caught up, leaving Rob with no escape, and he was devoured alive. His screams echoed to the camp. This forced Tompkins to accept that there was indeed a problem on Weird Island, so he pulled out a gun for self-defense. Larry suggested they should evacuate immediately, but Tompkins refused to abandon the other students. As they spoke, Daniel returned to the camp. Noticing Rob was missing and seeing the tense expressions on everyone's faces, he quickly asked what had happened and learned that corpses were reanimating on the island and that Rob had likely been attacked. Daniel grew restless, especially since his girlfriend Megan was still outside. Fearing for her safety, he grabbed a hammer and set out to find her, with Josh and Patrick deciding to search for Rob. Unbeknownst to them, Rob had already turned into a zombie and was approaching Megan's dorm. Worse, the zombie trapped under the shelves had broken free. Megan grabbed a tool and charged at it, pinning it to the wall. However, the noise attracted the mutated Rob, who burst through the floor, trying to break in. Luckily, he got stuck in the wooden boards, allowing Megan to confront him. First, she poured acid on the zombie's head, but when that didn't work, she grabbed a board and hit him repeatedly.
Sorry, Rob!
Just as Kate, pinned to the wall, began to stir again, Megan picked up a sharp piece of wood and drove it through her head. Finally silencing her. Realizing conventional methods couldn't kill zombies, Megan quickly concocted a bomb using chemical reagents. She climbed onto the roof, and when the zombie broke free and climbed up, she threw the bomb, blowing it to pieces. The crisis resolved. Daniel arrived late, and the two hurried to leave. At the camp, Tompkins and Larry were reinforcing the doors and windows against zombie attacks. Suddenly, a zombie appeared at the window. Relying on his weapon, Tompkins shot the zombie, which fell instantly. To ensure it was dead, he decided to go outside and check. Unexpectedly, two more zombies lunged at him as soon as he stepped out. In the chaos, Tompkins fell, dropping his gun, but Larry quickly pulled him back inside and shut the door, trapping the zombies outside. After a while, the zombies quieted down. To prevent them from attacking again, Larry had to use gasoline to make several gasoline bombs for self-defense, while Tompkins ventured outside the house, retrieved his dropped pistol, and incidentally killed a zombie that was stealing beef. Unfortunately, while Larry was inside, a zombie emerged from under the floorboards. Larry tried to use a Molotov to burn it, but the lighter wouldn't ignite. He attempted to fend it off with his foot but was grabbed and dragged down, his screams reaching Tompkins' ears. When Tompkins returned, Larry was gone. Meanwhile, Josh and Patrick, searching for Rob, were ambushed by zombies in the woods. They ran to the road and hid in the bus that had brought them to the camp. The zombies didn't relent, and as they tried to break in, Josh started the engine just in time to escape. Daniel and Megan arrived at the school bus at Group B's task site. Before they could hide inside, Tompkins found them. Upon learning of Kate and Rob's fates, he handed the gun to Megan and told them to hide in the bus while he went to find Josh and Patrick. Shortly after Tompkins left, they heard an eerie howl. Zombie Larry was nearby. To eliminate the threat, they decided to confront it. As they stepped out of the bus, Zombie Larry lunged at them. Megan fired immediately. Daniel, with a hammer raised, charged at the zombie but got hit in the process. The zombie, stunned, prepared to feast but was shot again by Megan. Thankfully, the shot didn't hit a vital part of Daniel, who didn't blame Megan. Understanding it wasn't intentional, their priority was to leave immediately. As Megan helped Daniel up, Josh appeared in the bus. The four regrouped, and Megan urged Josh to drive away quickly, but just as they started, a zombie appeared in the road. Josh hit the gas and rammed into it, only for another to appear right after. Instead of fleeing, Josh reversed and ran over it again. However, as he prepared to escape, he found the gear shift stuck. Worse, the zombie behind wasn't dead and smashed through the windshield. Patrick wrestled with the zombie as Josh managed to restart the bus, but the obstructed view caused Josh to crash into a roadside building in his panic. When he came to, Patrick had died in the accident. Before they could catch their breath, another zombie charged at them. It crawled into the bus, advancing on Megan. In a desperate moment, injured Daniel shot the zombie, ending the threat. With the immediate danger gone, the three of them drove off. At the moment, they couldn't care less about Tompkins, and were only thinking about driving to the pier and leaving Weird Island. No gate would stop them now, but the crash from hitting the gate caused the vehicle to spin out of control. Josh couldn't brake in time, and they hit a tree stump, flipping the bus. Fortunately, they only suffered minor injuries. Without a vehicle, they had to continue on foot. The three walked until they reached a house, where Daniel, exhausted, had to rest. At dawn, Tompkins followed their trail and found them. Not long after, a pickup truck appeared. It was the administrator who had brought Tompkins to the island. Unable to reach Tompkins via the walkie-talkie, he drove over to check on them. Just as he was about to ask what happened, Tompkins, in his anger, punched him to the ground. Tompkins demanded to know why he hadn't disclosed the truth about the island, accusing him of putting them in danger and causing 4 deaths. The administrator explained that he was just an employee, aware that the military brought death row inmates to the island for experiments but unaware of the specifics. Besides, it had been so long without incident that he didn't think anything would go wrong, so he hadn't mentioned it. But as Tompkins grabbed him off the ground and pinned him against the truck to interrogate further, a zombie appeared behind them. In a fit of anger, Tompkins shoved the administrator into the zombie's grasp as punishment for his silence. He then tried to get into the truck and escape. However, when he tried to start the vehicle, he realized the keys were missing. As the zombie finished off the administrator and advanced toward them, Tompkins saw the keys in its mouth. It seemed the administrator had accidentally put them there while struggling, and the movie ends abruptly here. Whether they escaped remained unknown, but to get away, they would have to kill the zombie and retrieve the keys. Their fate was likely grim.